Alrighty, welcome back, everyone. This is Sports Buds TV. My name is Serge, and let's start off like we do every week, discussing what's going on in the world of sports. So, a whole lot, right? Today we've got the NFL on topic. We will also discuss the MLB. The World Series just was completed. The NBA has tipped off, and we're well underway. We actually have a few games right now. On my screen over here, I have the Raptors. They're playing the Sixers currently in the second quarter. About 8 minutes and 50 seconds left in that quarter, and the score is 35-33. The Raptors are up, but now they're up 4 points. So besides the NBA, we'll also be talking this past weekend in boxing. A lot to discuss there with the big matchup. The baddest man on the planet. We were discussing that last week, so let's go ahead and recap just exactly what happened. But we start off where we do every single week. The NFL is king. Let's go over the Week 8, a quick rundown of the Week 8 scores. Of course, we started things off on Thursday night, and we saw the Buccaneers take on the Bills. Bills won this 18-24. Then we move on to Sunday, and we saw the Texans taking on the Panthers. The Panthers getting their first win of the season. Final score there was 13-15. This next one, a lot of Cowboy fans here are probably happy to hear this. I know myself as a Rams fan, just crushed with the performance, how it all went down. Your final score was 20-43 in favor of the Cowboys, of course. Moving things along, we saw the Vikings take on the Packers. That final marker was 24-10 in favor of the Vikings. And let's see, moving along, we have the Saints taking on the Colts. That final marker was 38-27. Then moving along, we have the Patriots taking on the Dolphins. The Dolphins won this one 31-17. And we start rounding around here. We have the Jets. They played the Giants in what was a punt fest for the ages. The final marker there was 13-10 in favor of the Jets. One of our friends of the show, co-host here on the show, won't be too happy about this next one. I'm looking at you. This one's for my guy Fred. The Jaguars taking on the Steelers, and the final marker there was 20-10 in favor of the Jaguars. Next up, we have the Falcons taking on the Titans. And this one, the Titans walked away with it 23-28. And then we have the Eagles taking on the Commanders. That final score was 38-31. The Browns took on the Seahawks. The final score there was 20-24 in favor of the Seahawks. Then we have the Ravens taking on the Cardinals, 31-24 for the Ravens. In a surprise outcome, we saw the Chiefs taking on the Broncos, and the final score there was 9-24 in favor of the Broncos. Next up, we have the Bengals. They took on the Niners, and another surprise of the week. This ended up being 31-17 Bengals. And just a few games left. In Week 8, we saw the Bears taking on the Chargers. The final score there was 13-30 for the Chargers. And to wrap things up on Monday night, the Lions kept on track. They took on the Raiders. Final score there was 14-26. The Lions keep moving along, and the Raiders in the middle of the night, just a day or two ago, they had some breaking news when they let go of their general manager and their head coach. So do that what you may. There's definitely some changes that are expected for other teams coming along as we get more into the season. Some more teams start to gather those losses. They expect for some of those job openings to start to come available. Some interim, positions filled, but we will see. For tonight, we think kick off week 9 in the NFL. And we actually will see the Titans at the Steelers. I'm going to go ahead and give you now my week 9 picks. And we'll start off here Thursday night. Give me the Titans to beat the Steelers. We'll do this a bit of rapid fire style. Next, give me the Dolphins to beat the Chiefs. And I believe this is across the pond. I think this is a Germany game that we've been looking forward to between these two 6-2 teams. Next up, we have the Vikings at the Falcons. Give me the Falcons. Next, we have the Seahawks at the Ravens. Give me the Ravens. Then we have the Cardinals at the Browns. Give me the Browns to win this one. The Rams at the Packers. A whole lot going on with my Rams, but I think they might have enough to beat the Packers. I said they might, so don't quote me on that. And let's see. Next up, we'll just move along after that one. The Buccaneers taking on the Texans. Give me the Buccaneers to win this one. The Commanders taking on the Patriots. Give me the Commanders to win this game. Then the Browns will be playing the Saints. Give me the Saints to win this one. Just a few more games. We've got the Colts at the Panthers. Give me the Colts to win this game. The Giants at the Raiders. And with the changes I just talked about with going on with that Raiders organization, give me the Giants to be able to hold serve and take care of business while they make a business trip out to Las Vegas. And then we have a divisional rivalry game. The Cowboys at the Eagles. Give me the Eagles to take care of business at home. Then we have the Bills at the Bengals. Are the Bills able to actually stay consistent? I say they are. They will beat the Bengals. And finally, on Monday night, we'll see the Chargers at the Jets. Give me the Jets to win. Having the Chargers go from LA to New York, that's quite a bit of a jump there. I think the Jets will take care of business, with that home cooking. But that is your week 9 in the NFL. Like always, let me know your picks. Let me know your reason, why you're making those picks. But we will move things along. Huge news. We have a new World Series champion, of course, in the major leagues. The series ended up being the Diamondbacks versus the Rangers. Just last week, we were previewing this World Series. We actually did our show on Wednesday of last week. The series started on Friday, that actual, following Friday. So just to summarize, it went 5 games. The Rangers took care of business. And those first 2 games were definitely nail biters, some back and forth there in that game 1. That game 2, just that answer from the Diamondbacks to say, you know what, we should have won game 1 and you're not taking game 2 away from us. But then Texas just, putting their foot down on the gas and saying that enough of that. We've come a long way. We didn't come this far just to come this far. Shout out to the Rangers winning their first World Series. And now the clock is ticking on the Texans. We just talked about the NFL. There's that meme going around in some sports circles where every professional team in Texas has officially been a champion in their league association, except for the Houston Texans. Of course, they're an expansion team, and that's maybe their reason for it, but clock is ticking. I'll say that for them. But that's the World Series. We do have a new champion. Shout out to the Diamondbacks for making it, to the game, the show, the series. But, big shout out to the Texas Rangers for winning the whole thing. And let's see, what do we have next? We talked about the NBA. There's quite a bit, we see right now with LeBron putting on, it seems like every night that LeBron James steps on the court and he puts up the numbers that he puts up at the age at which he is doing this, just the productivity definitely seems like every night is, you put it down as like, wow, this is a historic night, breaking records. He's already got the biggest record in all of sports, I would have thought, with, Kareem's, taking that leading scorer from Kareem eventually last year. So This guy is definitely putting on a performance. I may not be the biggest fan of LeBron James, but you definitely have to be a fan of what he has done. If not for the career, what he's doing at this point in his career, at the age that he's able to do it at. So definitely shout out to him. But for now, I see they're back from a break here, second quarter. The Raptors again taking on the Sixers. Just about 5 minutes and 20 seconds left in the second quarter. And currently the Sixers are up 43-44 in that game. Of course, this game is being played in Philadelphia. James Harden making his way out of Philadelphia. The Sixers acquiring those assets, and we'll see where they go. They still have Embiid, Tobias Harris and the gang there, hoping to be able to make some noise in the East. With that said, there's also the Wembanyama factor that we're seeing. Maybe not the biggest factor that we anticipated. Maybe you want to question some of the chemistry with the team. I don't want to say, blow it up because it's way too early for something like that. But I can see circumstances where they should probably try to feature Wembanyama a bit earlier versus where we see him towards the end kind of try to take over in that fourth quarter. For now, there's going to be growing pains, so you'll live with it, but you definitely can start to see where some of those mismatches, some of those opportunities can be taken advantage of earlier in the contest versus later in the game, and having to dig yourself out of 20-point deficits, 40-point deficits like they had this past week. The Spurs will be playing the Suns here, where they just a few days ago played them, came back down 20 points there in the second half. Crazy outcome there in the last couple of minutes of the game. Will we get something similar this next game here tonight? I can't wait to see. We spoke about LeBron James and some of the historic nights he's having at the age that he currently is at, right? Victor Wembanyama has a long way to go, but at 19 years old, it does seem that every night he is stepping on the court, he is showing us something we haven't seen before. Athletically, maybe with the moves and the dunks that he's able to show us, it definitely leaves room for why the media, it definitely gives you reason why the media has been covering him the way they have, and why the Spurs are having to give out so many of these media passes that you're hearing about lately in San Antonio. And even when they're traveling, the international media is there now, the French media is there now. Pretty exciting times as a Spurs fan, but pretty exciting times as an NBA fan overall. Like I said, right now we currently have a contest between the Raptors, the Sixers. This Friday night, they start that They start that tournament, in-season tournament going on. So pretty soon, in a few weeks, we'll start to see how that shapes up. So then they'll be able to crown in their first ever, with this inaugural season of it, right, the in-season tournament champion. So I believe that's going to be $100,000 per player for the winner. I believe that's the breakdown. Don't quote me on that, but that's what I heard earlier on some of these talk shows there. So exciting times, something to look forward to with these NBA games throughout the season as we build towards, the seeding and eventually who will be our NBA champion when it's all said and done this year. Don't forget to like and follow us on social media. You can find us everywhere at SportsBudsTV. So just taking some time here before we wrap up our show today, don't forget to follow us on social media. Let us know your thoughts, your picks. Definitely love to hear from you all. Let's see. Yeah, so to wrap up today's show, a bit of a shorter version for today's show. We have the Thursday night game that's just about to, in a few minutes, kick off here. And a little bit later after that, we will see the Spurs versus the Suns. So enough reason to want to give a quick show and make sure that we don't miss those games. Possibly in the future, you may see us calling some of these games here live for you all to be able to enjoy along with us. Before we leave today, though, we got to talk about it. A lot of stuff coming out from this past weekend in regards to the main event that we saw with Tyson Fury and Francis Ngannou. Definitely want to dive into that. But before we do, I want to do this. Let's talk about the fights this weekend. Joe Cardina, he puts on a fight here for the IBF Junior Lightweight title. Of course, we will see in a feisty face-off today where we saw Alejandra Guzman put her fist up to Ramala Ali. Of course, this is a rematch from Ali's last bout that she was in where she lost. And if that wasn't enough to give her opponent all the confidence in the world, after today's face-off, it seemed that Ramala really maybe wasn't looking for all that aggression the way her opponent was. And she came up to her and even, put up her fist to her face during that face-off. So interesting to see what actually happens. Of course, a face-off is not going to give you a preview of what's going to go down in the fight, but it definitely can show you who may be coming out more aggressive. Not that that's a reason to win a fight always, but something to look forward to as well. In this week's fights, we'll be seeing F.A. Jagba. He's having a fight here, of course, in the heavyweight division, and we will see Raymond Murataya in the lightweight division. These fights will be taking place on November 4th, this Saturday. Don't miss some exciting fights in boxing. Also, a quick shout out, Rashidi Ellis, and it was Rashidi Ellis, and there was that fight this weekend. It was a crazy fight right after that main event. Definitely Oshaki Foster, excuse me. It was Oshaki Foster, and I'm missing the other individual's name. I believe it was Vargas. Hernandez, and they had a crazy fight. Went 12 rounds. In that 11th round, some people are calling that the inboxing the round of the year. So if you haven't caught that fight yet, you may want to, put yourself up to speed. Pay close attention to that 11th round and how it looks like Hernandez might just come out and pull this off. When they looked at the judges' scorecards, they actually had Hernandez up in most of these scorecards. So in that 11th round, it looks like he, may be done for a minute, for a few seconds. It looks like he gives his back to the opponent. And when you do that, in boxing, that's basically giving up, throwing in the towel in some cases. So it may have been stopped there. That's not the case. They go on to, exchange some more. And it seems that Hernandez actually ends up hurting the opponent there. And just a crazy back and forth. Finally, in the 12th round, after the back and forth, Foster comes and takes care of business. They call the fight. He, remains champion, defends his title down in Mexico. But when they look at the scorecards, the judges had Hernandez winning, and if it weren't for him getting the stoppage, he loses his belt out there in Mexico. So shout out to him taking care of business. Not a lot of times that we see that in boxing. Maybe just a little more than a dozen times that you've seen a champion down on the cards get the win with a decisive victory, knockout, TKO type of victory, to finish off the fight. So definitely kudos to him, and kudos to Amanda Serrano. Just a crazy evening this past evening, Saturday evening. Amanda, facing her opponent Ramos in 12 rounds, 3-minute rounds. Not something we have seen lately, at least in women's boxing, championship boxing, and they put on a show. I know some organizations have talked about, equal pay when it comes to women's boxing and, the rounds having a reason to, factor that in when it comes to the pay. And these two ladies went out there and made a case for, why not give us 12 rounds? Why not give us the 3 minutes? They made a case for it and maybe put pressure on some of these organizations to say, well, we can't use that as a reason, to not pay the women, these competitors what they're worth. So we'll see what comes out of that. Will that be the norm going forward? I can't say yet, but definitely kudos to them for putting on a show. Definitely another thing was maybe not as many punches would be thrown, having them go such, a larger distance, a greater distance than before. And you can't say that in this case. Amanda Serrano, Ramos, they put on a show all the way through. So shout out to the ladies and, what they accomplished on Saturday. Now, again, before we wrap up, we have to talk about Fury versus Ngannou, the baddest man on the planet, right? We were going to find this out on Saturday night. And if you ask me, left a lot to be still, you left you with a lot to think of. We'll say it that way. Is Ngannou really that good in boxing? Is Tyson Fury really that bad when it comes to boxing? a whole lot of questions, more questions than answers. Definitely, I'd walk away with that confidently, saying we got a whole lot more questions than we did answers. Last week on this show, I mentioned if we get the Fury from the Wilder trilogy, if we get that Fury, this is not even a close contest at all. And in my opinion, that was not the Fury that we got, the Tyson Fury that we got on Saturday. We got a Tyson Fury that came in, to his, credit, to his word, he had a proper camp. However, it did not appear to me the same fighter that I saw Tyson Fury, become when he was in that ring with Deontay Wilder. He gets dropped. What was that, in the third round? And it's crazy. If you're on, watching it with friends, people are telling you, "Wow, this is it. He ain't all that." I told you all that last week, though. 10 seconds to us may not end up being 10 seconds for the ref. And we need no more further proof than to see the Deontay Wilder fight. Francis ends up connecting. I believe it was a left. I don't remember at this very moment, but he ends up putting him down. And Fury, like he did before in the Wilder trilogy, gets back up. Now, this is where it starts to get, in some people's eyes, mixed up, confusing. Some people had Francis winning the rest of the fight, and I'm not sure if that round was a big reason why they felt that he won the rest of the fight. In my opinion, as you go round by round, fair enough. You give that round of the Francis, and you give him the round with 10-8, no doubt about it. But as the match goes on, there's 9 other rounds that have to be scored, and in my opinion, Francis Ngannou did not win more than 4 rounds on my scorecard. In my opinion, I think Tyson Fury did enough to win 6 rounds of that fight and therefore win the fight. It ends up being a split decision. One judge gave it to Ngannou, and I'm not mad at him for that. There were more than a few rounds towards the end where neither of them did much, it seemed like. However, Tyson being able to keep his distance and use his jab, I scored those rounds for Tyson. Some may have scored him for Ngannou, with the aggression, trying to land some of those power punches. However, I believe that Tyson, with his distance and jab, ends up outpointing Ngannou and winning and stealing some of those rounds. Again, not in a killer type of fashion, not in a lights out type of fashion, but just a boxing fashion. And I'll say this to give Francis Ngannou all the credit in the world. The guy has a chin. The guy does not flinch. Tyson tried so many flinches, so many feints, and Ngannou did not bite once. He flat out said, "Throw what you're gonna throw. I'm gonna keep coming forward in your face all night, and if you're able to drop me and put me down, then you're a better man than me." But in the way Ngannou fought, he basically was saying, "But you're going to have to prove it to me." And Francis, credit, Tyson wasn't able to do that. He did not come in my opinion, like he did with Deontay Wilder, where we saw him really put Deontay down. And in some cases the towel was thrown in, and others it was stopped, right? So who knows what was going on? Only they know exactly what was going on in that ring. The elbow came into question. We did see some other versions, some other angles of the shot. And you can see where Ngannou kind of tries to, again, he didn't bite on feints, but he also tried to protect himself. So as Fury's throwing a hook, it seems like, Ngannou puts a punch up in the air, kind of try to, I'm not sure if he's just trying to kind of, get out of the way of it. And you see he kind of hits the inside of the elbow, causes Tyson's arm to kind of follow through as he's punching, and that's where you see the elbow. Now, is that legit? Who knows? All I'm saying is it wasn't intentional, straight up, I'm going to hit you with my elbow. It looks like he's throwing a hook, a right hand, and Ngannou tries to deflect it by punching the elbow. And, that just ends sending, it looks like Fury off balance, causing the, and it also flat out seems like Ngannou's trying to stop his elbow with his face. That's no, I'm kidding. But yeah, interesting. It's not just an intentional elbow is what I'm trying to get at. And the rest of the fight, like I said, Fury played it smart, did not try to be reckless. The aftermath, everybody thinking there was a robbery. I didn't see that. The Usyk confrontation where we've seen Fury calling out Usyk for some time now, calling him this, that, and the third on social media, saying some pretty harsh things to Usyk when it comes to, referring to him, maybe even out of his name. He's called him, like I said, this, that, and the third. But when they were face to face, not only right after the fight, I'm talking a night or two before the fight, they actually met each other when Usyk arrived. A lot of fighters, a lot of legends, not only from MMA, but boxing, they were all in the house for this huge Saudi event. So there's a point where Tyson and Alexander Usyk run into each other, and Tyson is nowhere near, and granted, professional, want to keep it, cordial, what have you. But like I said, he had been calling him this, that, and the third, saying so many things. I'm not expecting him to, be all up in his face like that, but he just was calling him his brother, asking him for a hug, and just a whole lot, a complete different direction from where he was coming towards Alexander on social media, trying to get the fight. Maybe the fight's already, signed, sealed, just about delivered, and there's no need for all that. Fine. Say what you will. It came off. Something might be there, because then we forward to right after the fight and Alexander coming in to the ring saying, okay, we're going to do this. We've got the contract signed for, I believe they said the 23rd or 25th of December. And Tyson kind of tippy-toeing around it, his management saying no. Then a few minutes after that, Tyson saying, yeah, let's go for December. We're good. And then fast forward a day or two, Alexander saying we're doing it in December. That's the contract. You got to fulfill your obligations to the contract. And then Tyson's management saying a day or two after that, it's not going down December. This will be either a February, March, I believe February event. And Tyson needs the time to heal after the fight he had with Ngannou. So that's the reason for it. A lot to get into, here boxing is a big topic for us, but we'll get into that. Like I said, it's a bit of a shorter version of our Sports Buds TV podcast today. But again, I just wanted to get on here, make sure we gave you our picks for the NFL, got into the World Series, the MLB. Shout out to the Rangers. Of course, we talked the NBA, and we'll be diving into that more as the season comes along here. But the boxing world, it's lit right now. Some changes with promotions, but definitely big fights still here just upon the horizon, and looking forward to them. Keep it tuned to Sports Buds TV. This is your sports talk, community. Like, follow everywhere on social media. You'll find us. So hit us with one of those likes and follows, and comment. Let us know your thoughts, your picks. We'd love to hear it. So again, thank you for listening today. This has been Sports Buds TV. My name is Serge. Y'all be good.